I am feeling better, by the way. Thank you for all those that are asking. The nausea is pretty good. And I have a little bit more energy and a little more strength than I have had in the last week. So we're on the mend. So if you watched the previous video on shit hit the fan winter foraging, yeah, I was nauseated the whole time, and if I slurred my words and I paused and I kept doing all that, it wasn't a good quality video at all. But at any time I opened my mouth, I thought I might throw up. So I was a little distracted there. So I hope this one turns out a little bit better. The most common statement I get here is, I know where I'm going if the shit ever hit the fan. It's not a question. It's not asking if they could. It is telling me that they know where they are going when the shit hits the fan, and they think it's here. When I get told, not asked, when I get told that they know where they're coming when the shit hits the fan, I kind of stand back a little bit. And I remember one conversation with a particular young lady. She's in her 30s. And she said that to me one day. I know where I'm coming if the shit hit the fan. I'm coming here. Well, I asked her why she thought that. And what she was going to bring to the table. If the shit ever hit the fan, and for whatever reason, whether it was a natural disaster, man-made disaster, economic collapse, everything just hit the fan all at once. So I asked this young lady what she was going to bring to the table. And she said, "What or who will I bring in here?" Well, I said, well, let's start with the what. What would you bring in here? What do you have to offer? What skills do you have? Well, I don't have any skills. She goes, I have country girl skills. And she goes, I can dig deep. I've got what it takes to do whatever is needed. And I believe that is true. So I went to who she would bring in here. And she said, well, there'd be my boyfriend and my mother, and I would have to bring my 2 dogs. Well, I don't know anything about the boyfriend, and I don't know anything about the mother. So I live in a 20 by 24 house, and there is just not enough room for a lot of people. But I asked her why she would come here. And she said that she knew I had a pretty good sizable garden, and that I put up my food. And she knew that I had birds where I put up meat. She knows that I try to self-sustain as much as I can. And she knows, because she's been following me, that I'm a hard worker. And if I want something, I'll do my best to get what I need. But I don't need much. I'm in the woodshed because it's a little windy out and it's -8. And even though the woodshed is shaded, it beats being out in the wind. So she thought that she was going to come in here and bring 2 other people and dogs. A dog would be good, because it would alert you if something was happening outside. But so aren't geese, and so aren't guinea. They will let you know if there's something around that shouldn't be, or something new, or something suspicious. They will alert. And even if at night, if I'm in the house and I sneeze and they're locked in the coop, the geese will honk. Oh my God, they will honk, letting me know that they heard that and they didn't like it. So I really don't need a dog. So I asked what she was going to bring with her for, like, food. And she said that she had maybe a couple of weeks of food. She doesn't like to stock up much unless there's going to be a big storm. And then she'll stock up. She admitted that she'll stock up on more comfort food than anything. If there was a major disaster, like when the shit hit the fan, she said that she could survive about 2 weeks. Then she'd be awfully hungry, awfully bored, and her anxiety would probably creep up because she's cooped inside. Well, I get every bit of that. But if you're coming here after all my hard work and come in here and crowd up my house, eat all my food, and if your anxiety is going to creep up because, you know, the situation, whatever it is getting to you, no, we don't need anxiety in here. We need a low, even keel, methodical approach. We need calmness. We need to keep the harmony. We need to take it as it comes with zero panic, with no anxiety. We need to be able to think clearly and calmly for whatever situation may arrive. So, you know, I would feel awful about turning somebody down. I wouldn't like it. But if it's not going to be of service in here, in every way, because time would already be tough, then I wouldn't need anybody that's going to cause stress and anxiety and panic. I need people in here that will remain calm. I need people in here that will think outside the box, that will have productive thinking and thought. Panic and anxiety has zero room in here on a daily basis. So if the shit hit the fan, you know, the anxiety would rise a little bit in everybody because you'd have to be vigilant. Who would I welcome if they came to if there was a major disaster, if there was a shit hit the fan scenario, who would I welcome into my home? Well, I thought about that. And if you had skills, knew how to live a basic, simple life, and you had the knowledge, was calm, cool, and collective under any situation, that would be great. If you were a hard worker, willing to do anything and everything that it took, no matter what came about, that would be perfect. But I would rather have somebody in here that had as much knowledge or more knowledge than what I have. The older people, they've lived through a lot more. They're quite a bit wiser because they've had more life experience. They may not be able to do the manual labor, but they may know how to do things a little bit more efficiently. Have you tried this instead of that? Well, I've learned that this works better this way than it does this way. This way will save your back. This way will save your shoulders. And the older people really do, in my opinion, have a better chance at living in here. 30-year-old who was going to cause stress and anxiety and panic, and a boyfriend that I know nothing about. I would rather have an older person that had a little more living experience, living through hard times, living maybe through the depression. They learned, how to make do with very little. I would rather have an older person that I really didn't know much about with life experience. There's different types of prepping. I do what I call the practical prepping, the self-sustaining way of life, and that's prepping for me as far as my growing my food and raising my food and putting out my food for an entire year. And then there are other preppers that I'm finding out that they're anywhere from being special ops. They need 10,000 rounds of ammo because I guess people are gonna be storming their place, and they got to protect their food, and they got to protect this. So their number one stock is ammo. You have the Rambo type where they're just going to go out in the woods and they are going to survive off the land. And a lot of them don't have a freaking clue how to do that. Unless you're special ops or Rambo or Jeremiah Johnson, that old movie Jeremiah Johnson. That was a pretty good movie, by the way. But unless you know all these outdoor skills, you're just not going to survive. You're not going to survive. Now, I'm a country girl. I know a considerable amount of what is edible and what is not edible in the woods, but I would starve. I would lose a lot of weight. I would be hungry all the time. I may not die because I know how to build a shelter, thanks to my parents on how to do that. I know how to build shelter. I could probably stay warm. I could probably feed myself, but I'd be awfully hungry and I'd lose an awful lot of weight. But to think you're going to go out in the woods and live off the land and scrounge around for food and drinking water and staying warm and firewood, that's just fire, just to keep yourself warm in the wintertime. You could probably build an igloo or what do you call those things? You could probably build an igloo, keep warm. But it's just not practical. It's not practical, folks. So I am not one of those preppers. I'm not one of those preppers. I'm not dramatic. I am not a Jeremiah Johnson. I am not, I'm just a country gal. I'm not special ops. I'm not Rambo. I'm just a country girl, self-sustaining, and trying to help others maybe self-sustain too. Because I believe in education. I believe in free education. So if I can help somebody get started, I will, and I do. But if you think you're going to come in here and tell me that you're coming here if the shit ever hit the fan, that's a strike against you right there. That's a strike against you. No, it'll be a hard choice, but you would have, in order to sustain the way you are living and the way you need to live to survive, you may have to ask people to leave. That's just what it is. So the statement, I know where I'm coming if the shit hit the fan, raises eyebrows to me. I've worked very, very hard for what I have. I've worked very hard for trying to create a sustainable lifestyle here. I don't need much. There's a lot of things I want. There's not a lot of things I need. But you would have to be willing to work. You would have to be willing to do what it takes to get things done. If somebody came to my door and they were hungry, if they were forced out of their home because they lived in town or next to the road, depends on what skills they had, what they had to offer, I would let them in or I wouldn't let them in. It would be awfully hard turning away somebody if they were hungry. I would do it if I had to. If I turned them away, I would make sure they left with a care package. Maybe some warm clothes. If it was winter, maybe I would put them up for a day. But once you have them in the house, how hard would it be to have them leave? So if you let them in, you better think before you do that, because you might not be able to get rid of them. They say, well, there's 3 of us and only 1 of you. Maybe we'll boot you out. That could be possible. So when the shit hit the fan, for whatever reason, I hope some of you are prepared. You know, if you come in here and say, well, I've got a snowmobile. Snowmobile doesn't do me a damn bit of good. I have no use for a snowmobile in here. So if somebody comes to you and says, I know where I'm going when the shit hits the fan, ask them what they've done to prepare for when the shit hits the fan. If they haven't started stocking up on food or extra batteries or extra firewood or extra this or that, and they expect to come to you because they know you've got food, you have a big garden, you raise your own animals, you have eggs. I just collected eggs. Because they know you've done all the work. Ask them what the hell they were thinking if they haven't been prepared. You know, if they're going to spend all their money and not prepare because they want to go out and have fun, buy a brand new snowmobile, and because they want to play, and think they're going to come to live with you because you've already done all the work, you've already made all the investments, you've already done the planning, you've done the forethought, you figured everything out for what works for you. Well, they're out playing, and your extra money went for extra food, a little extra gas on hand, some more batteries, whatever. So, yeah, that doesn't fly with me. That doesn't fly with me because I work damn hard for what I've got. I work damn hard for how I live. And I don't spend my money on stupid stuff. If I have an extra $10 one week, I'm gonna catch something on sale and I'm gonna buy that to put it on the pantry shelf, or I'm gonna buy that pack of batteries and I'm going to keep that in my little battery compartment, or I'm gonna buy something that is going to help me down the road, not for what I want that very minute because I had a little weak moment. Well, that's all well and good, but don't come to somebody else because you decide to spend that $10 on a pizza, knowing that, well, X, Y, and Z down the road live in the woods and they're all set up, so we'll just go and squat with them. That doesn't fly with me. That just doesn't fly with me. But anyway, so that's what I've got today. I've got a lot of catch up to do, so I don't have time to mess around with the video. But 2 eggs so far, that's good.